Welcome to Making Stuff with Chris DeHut. Today's video is going to be very unique. I am going to go over a bunch of items that we'll be using in this coming series of videos that is a continuation of the Raspberry Pi PICO series. I was fortunate enough, I live very near a micro center, and I frequent there as often as I can. It's about an hour's drive each way. But I try to pick up as much as I can out of their maker department there. Another place that I purchase from frequently is Adafruit and SparkFun. And of course, last but not least, is Amazon. I'm trying to work more with retailers that represent their own products, so to speak, or represent brand name products, just to up the quality level. Some of the stuff I'm getting from Amazon that's unbranded has been just atrocious in quality and frankly isn't even worth the plastic bag that it's shipped in sometimes. So without further ado, I'm going to go through and start showing you what I purchased on my latest shopping sprees. Join me. Most importantly, as we all know, the Raspberry Pi PICOs, like the Raspberry Pis, are very hard to come by, so I buy them anytime I can. And most of the retailers have minimum order quantities, but still at the appropriate price. So I'm picking up Raspberry Pi PICO Ws with the Wi-Fi capability. I think I got about 5 or 6 of those in my inventory now as I'm finally starting to get some. And then regular Raspberry Pi PICOs, as many. I probably am up to about 20 or 30 of them. And believe it or not, I actually am using all of those in various projects that are part of presentations for this channel. So I'm one of those guys that's kind of hoarding them. But that's a good supply of PICOs that I picked up. Another thing that I'm picking up are breadboards. As you see in almost virtually every video I'm doing, I'm doing the project on a breadboard, such as this one. And you'll notice I got a big X over this one. I marked it for this particular video because pretty much I'm going to stop buying the really cheap ones off of Amazon and stick to just buying from good quality ones from retailers. This one here wasted an entire day of my time because it had intermittent connections along one of the power rails. Drove me nuts, and that wasted day is very valuable to me, so no more on the cheapos. That's in the garbage. But I'm picking up various sizes of breadboards so that I can be a little bit more efficient in my space here in the shop. This is a neat little sensor. It's a water level sensor. And for this one, no doubt it's going to be an analog output. But I got a couple ideas what I want to do with this one. So look forward to seeing that in a future video. That was from Adafruit, as you can tell by the packaging there. This little guy, while I was shopping on an Adafruit website, I came across this. You'll recognize this thing. You've seen these on several devices. It's a navigation control. Usually it incorporates, or you work it with, here we go, a rotary encoder switch. So that one's a D shape. Unfortunately, it won't fit this end. That's got a D-shaped hole, and that's a round serrated style. But you use this as a knob for rotary encoder switches. And that'll work really well for navigation switches, menu selection switches, etc. So that's coming up in a future project where I'm going to be working on a few user interface things. This little guy here was more of the curiosity got me. You'll recognize it as a touchscreen. Usually these go over LCDs, and it would add touchscreen capability to an LCD display. In my case, I am going to try to use it for a completely different purpose. Right now I'm working on finding drivers that'll work for or with the Raspberry Pi PICO. And of course, I'm going to also have to order the connector from Adafruit. I kind of goofed up and didn't do that. Possibly could solder onto that, but in all likelihood, I'll probably destroy it in the process. So no hurry on this one. So the next time I order from Adafruit, perhaps some more Picos, I'll get the proper connector from them. But that'll be possibly an interface for a project, or it could be another input device for something unrelated to user interfaces. Rounding out, I think that's it that I know of for the shopping spree from Adafruit is a strain gauge, 1 kilogram strain gauge. I do a lot of stuff with motion control and stepper motors, servo motors, the RC style and so forth. And there are times when I want to measure forces and loads and so forth. And oftentimes I estimate it or use crude implements, etc. So I thought, maybe it's time I start exploring these strain gauges and up the game a little bit. So look for a future project on using strain gauges to measure forces and so forth. Another one of my favorite vendors for the Raspberry Pi PICO is Pi-Moroni. They're out of the UK. They have been brilliantly supporting the Raspberry Pi group, the PICO group for us. They've been developing all kinds of really cool accessories to dress up our projects and so forth, and they're supported very, very well. So at Micro Center, luckily they sell them there, and that's how I discovered them. And I have been picking up a variety of little gizmos and gadgets. This particular thing is called the PICO RGB keypad. Picked it up at Micro Center. You can see the price on there. This was bought probably early in this year, maybe early spring, at $25.99. With all the inflation this last year, that could be a lot more. I don't know. But nonetheless, it's a rather fascinating little keypad. I got it together. Assembly is very easy. Got a couple ideas on how I want to use it. Probably not for the specific purpose it was intended for when they created it. Here is one. It's from a company called Treedix, Treedix. It's an expansion board with a PICO LCD screen. And you solder on the headers and the sockets here, put your PICO here, and it comes with this display, the backplane, and the header pins. These little layout boards can be really handy on some projects. Don't know if it'll ever fit into a final project, but they're handy for setting things up. I've got a couple of different styles of them. This is a rather interesting display. I believe it's the exact same type from Pi-Moroni and WaveShare. But it comes with a very simple to use driver and interface, and we'll be taking a look at that in a future video. This device is a DHT11 temperature sensor. And this one, I've already done the project on it. That's why it's no longer in the package. And that proved to be quite fun and interesting. And I got actually about 3 projects lined up based on this sensor. So we'll be seeing more of this in the future. Let's see. Here is another display, this one from Pi-Moroni. And it's a 1.14 inch, so it's very much the same as that other one, size-wise. This one just has 4 buttons instead of a joystick with 2 buttons. But other than that, there's a tremendous amount of similarities between the two. Nonetheless, it seems to be a good little display. And this one I've also used in several projects. I got 2 that we've already kind of covered. You'll see that in a previous video. That they worked out pretty well. So this is going to be, I'll probably be buying more of those for future projects here on the channel. Let's see. This is a, yes, this is IC. It's MCP 23017 IO port expander. And I'll be doing a pretty in-depth video on that and how to use it and why you'd want to use it and so forth. But this is the guy you go to when you're wanting more inputs, outputs, or some combination thereof than the PICO has to offer. This is also commonly used on almost all other microcontrollers as well. This is a breakout board for the PICO. I think I got a couple of different brands of this. This one's by White Teen. I could have swore I bought it at Micro Center, but I don't see their price tag on it. These can be very handy in certain applications. Usually with screw terminals like this, I'm probably working on something a little more industrial scale as opposed to tinkering around scale with tiny little devices, etc. But they can be handy for that sort of thing. I don't know if I'll be doing a video on that specifically, but you'll probably see it in the background of some upcoming videos. Well, this is another little display. It's for the PICO LCD, 1.8 inch, so it's a little bit bigger than the other ones. And I've already got it connected to a PICO and operating and so forth. And frankly, it's pretty cool. It's a nice size display. It looks good. Was easy to get up and running, and again, being a bigger display gives me more options for what I want to do with it in a future video. This one is by WaveShare, who seems to be the company behind a lot of these little displays like this. Here we go. This should seem pretty obvious. It's a couple of relay boards. And this will be featured in a video by itself, as well as in another video about relays and how we should be properly interfacing with the PICO or Raspberry Pi for that matter, using buffer chips, etc. But nonetheless, these are a little bit in the difference in that they are actually a 3.3 volt relay as opposed to a 5 volt relay that we're trying to drive with a 3.3 volt output. Luckily, the designs of most of them have changed and now are both 3.3 volt and 5 volt tolerant on these breakout boards, but not all of them are. That's why I bought these two. This is a little package of sensors that I've got. They're LM35 temp sensors. They're real standby, been around in the industry forever. I've used them on many projects in the past. In fact, this little package could be as old as maybe 15 or 20 years. But I just keep coming up with and thinking of ways to utilize them in current projects. And I've got one of these already lined up and programmed and ready for filming. Okay, well, let's see if this looks familiar to you. This is another Pi Moroni project. It's called the PICO Explorer Base, and gives you a little tiny breadboard, a place for your PICO, some connectors for motors, breakout boards, got a piezo buzzer on it. Just some various things on it in display, but just as I looked at that, I got to thinking, gee, no, definitely not the same display, but looked very, very similar to me by memory. Again, I probably will do a video on this particular device just because it's so capable, so cool, but it does require that I get a few more connectors to work with so that we can explore together on it. These I found, and gosh darn it, I can't remember where. I'm hoping it was one of the good retailers like Adafruit or SparkFun. These are stacking headers, and what they allow you to do is avoid a situation kind of like this. I'll be talking about this gizmo in a minute, where you've got your Pico and your device, the hat on top of it, and you got no way to connect anything. This is a pass-through, so you can actually do further connections beyond having it all end right here. So I'll be using these in future projects. And I need to pick up more of them because I think I only got this pair and maybe another pair somewhere, but I thought I bought several. Maybe I used them already. This little purchase here was a big disappointment. I'm pretty sure it was an Amazon purchase. And this is a thin film pressure sensor. And it's supposed to vary in pressure or vary in resistance as you fold it and bend it and so forth. But I really couldn't achieve any linearity with it. Now, it was a couple of dollars at most, and I'm going to try to find a higher quality unit that has a higher probability of actually working out of the bag. So look forward to me featuring a video on these devices because they are rather interesting in how you can use them and apply them in various applications. Okay, this device was the thing I showed you a moment ago. It's called the PICO Scroll. It's a 7x17 LED matrix. These things are really bright. It also has 4 buttons on it that you can utilize. The interesting thing about it is the name really is important in what it's describing. It's for scrolling text. Static text on it, honestly, I couldn't get it to work. But we're going to go through an explanation of how you can use this and a few demonstrations about its capabilities. But I think it's going to be a fun little device for various projects, especially for wearables. I think that's a really cool area that I don't play in enough, and wherever, to be honest with you. But wearable electronics are always an interesting thing. Here is, this I bought well over a year ago, I think, and never got around to doing anything with it. But what you will see here is a PICO wireless. It's a network module for the PICO to do Wi-Fi. So it's external, and this was out long before the PICO W. Now, I will say this does do things a little differently. You've got an SD card on there, a button, and it appears to have, in my opinion, a more robust antenna for the Wi-Fi. So this may very well be still a very applicable product. I could have swore, I don't see the price tag on it, but I do believe I bought that at Micro Center. I could have bought it online as well. But nonetheless, I'll be exploring the PICO wireless module from Pi Moroni to see what we can get away with on that thing. This little package here, I really only needed one, but on Amazon, they sold it in a package of 50. And what it is a little light sensor. And after I ordered it, and then I got to thinking, well, actually, there is a couple of projects that's going to use these. So I'm glad I got more than one when I bought it. But this is a photoresistor. And depending on the level of brightness of light, it will give you a different resistance. And therefore, we can read that with our analog pin of the PICO and do various things with it. So I've got an informative video on the light sensor, the photoresistor, as well as a mini project that will be showing how to do with it. Another crazy product from Pi Moroni, it's called the PICO Audio Out. It does headphone and line out capability, very compact, and this is, again, another exploratory thing. There's a variety of different things to get sound, we're going to call it, out of the PICO. And I want to explore how good that quality is and what I can do with it. And that's what led me to purchase this. So I got a couple of project ideas on this, and we will see what comes of it in this coming year. And more PICOs. More PICO W's to be specific. I'm kind of getting to be a firm believer and you can't have enough of those things. Let's see. We'll take a look at, this guy here. This device here, as soon as I saw it, I knew I needed it, even though it's very expensive. But I have wanted a circular, round-shaped LCD display for a long time now. And I've got a number of projects I want to make utilizing this. Just in my mind, a round graphic display is unusual. Therefore, it adds tremendous interest to any given project. And I've got a couple of ideas on how to use this in a very unique way. So look for that in a video or a project video further down the road. I got a lot of development to do on my first one of using this display. And I certainly hope the company comes out with a bunch more of these and of different sizes. This is a project that I just started on, or a purchase that's leading into a project. It kind of hit a roadblock right now, but this is an RFID tag. These are to tags. This is the reader-writer device. And I honestly thought I would have a lot of application for it. And as soon as I started playing with it, I started questioning that. So I need to reevaluate what I'm going to do with the RFID project. But I got a bag full of them here, so I don't think it'll go away. It's just a matter of reevaluating what I want to do with it. This device here is a real-time clock for the PICO. That'll be featured up on a very near video that's already filmed. So that'll be coming up here in probably 2022 or very early 2023. Okay. Oh, this guy, this will be used with this little device, 7-segment displays. These have really kind of faded into obscurity of recent years. Everybody's going with LED, LCD displays, etc. And frankly, I use them too in various things. But sometimes I really enjoy the old school look of these. And I have an idea of a project that I've been thinking about. But driving this requires a lot of pins. And these devices here allow us to use only a couple of pins on our PICO to drive all the pins on this. So that's what this is about, or these chips are about. This will be a project, a long-term project. It may take me a year or two to do, but it'll be helping me relive a CNC machine tool experience from the late 70s. This guy here is a Pi Moroni version of a PICO. Haven't even opened it yet, so hopefully there's one inside the package. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. This is a little tiny Raspberry Pi PICO, the 2040. So for really small projects, and that also runs on, you'll notice, USB-C as opposed to what's on the other ones. So this will be a project coming up, and not exactly sure how it's going to play out yet, but I'll probably do a little overview of this device before I get into the project. Nonetheless, they're getting tiny. I like that little guy. $9.99 for that one. Again, that must be I'm not sure if that, it's got to be a Micro Center price tag. I don't recognize it otherwise. Let's see. We're going to look at a couple of things on breadboards that I've already taken out of the package and played with these things, and we've got them on breadboards programmed and ready for filming. This device here is a digital sound level detector. It'll go off at a certain sound level. That can be handy for a number of different projects. And let's see, this one is a work in progress. This is an analog sound level detector. And right now it's prototyped with a bar graph display. And I got another idea on how I might elaborate more on this particular project. These are simple little fun projects. Perhaps a little bit of practical application in the backside of it, but for me, I just like having fun doing that at this level. This little guy here is, I'll get the sticker off. These are on all of them. Little itty-bitty speaker. And, well, it's an oscillating buzzer, if you will. But very simple to use, pretty loud for its size and so forth. And these can be very handy in a variety of projects. So I'm kind of trying to find different ones to try and see which ones I like. And then those will make it into future projects. This is another PICO. This is Spark Fun's version of it, using the RP2040 chip, and this is in the conventional size, but you'll notice that it's got their connectors on it, as well as some other differences, USB-C as well. Plan to play with this a little bit. I honestly don't have a project intended for it, but I do want to do an informative video on it, because it is nice to see how the 2040 chip is being utilized by other manufacturers and exploited with their ideas, etc. So look forward to seeing something on that one. And it may turn into a project. You just never know with these things. And I believe this is the last thing, and it's a very expensive one. As you can see, it was $55.99, which is a hell of a lot of money for a keypad, a 16-key keypad. I have no idea what I'm going to use it for. I do know that there's a lot of people that are into these kind of keypads. I just got caught up in the moment while out shopping, and so I'm begging for forgiveness. But it does look like a fun piece of quality kit, as I'm coming to expect from Pi decent circuit board, very nice quality keys, key switches, etc. But I want to think about this before I get too carried away with it, because in my opinion, one of the drawbacks with these types of keypads, if the key doesn't have a legend, I need something else with it to define what the key does. Perhaps I'm getting a little bit old to be guessing my way through 16 different keys to find the one that I want to do something with. But nonetheless, if you guys got feedback or comments on that, I'd greatly appreciate it. But this one I'm kind of just saving for at some point during the year when I want to forget about spending $55.99 on a 16-key keypad. But that pretty well wraps up the haul for all the different projects or parts and components that I've bought this past year. Got a few more coming that I recently ordered for projects that I'm currently working on, or videos I'm currently working on. But nonetheless, you'll see those incorporated in the actual videos. The one thing I'd like to say is I do want to point out, none of this is donated to me. You see the little price tags. You see they come from various vendors, all that stuff. These are items that I've purchased and will be used in these videos throughout the year 2023. I don't mind giving credit to any manufacturer, retailer, whoever that supports our hobby here in the maker community, especially in the electronics community, because let's face it, brick and mortar electronic component stores are the way of the unicorns and mermaids, etc. So kudos to Micro Center for being a source for us to get some of these components. As well as to Pi Moroni, Spark Fun, Adafruit, all those companies that develop the products that we can use to make really cool things with. So that's going to do it for this video. Sorry, I got very long-winded, but I just wanted to give you an idea what's coming up here in the year 2023. You've seen what's here, and there's probably going to be a whole lot more to go along with it. I'm Chris DeHut for Making Stuff with Chris DeHut. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.